Now pay attention. About the deviation, we are having one more problem to be solved. So consider that you are having two mirrors inclined to each other. This is plane mirror 1. This is plane mirror 2. The angle between them is taken as equal to 45 degree. And the ray of light is incident on a plane mirror 1. At an angle here which is 60 degree. Find the angle of deviation. You can add there, find the total angle of deviation. कैसे आएगा 60? The problem with you is that whatever has been taught, you try to recollect that and get the answer. You don't apply the basic logic. That is why it creates a problem then. Now you need to understand, this is actually the problem related to the two plane mirror. And you were using the formula only for a single plane mirror. The condition of the problem has changed. This is a problem which we always find that it is there because we are trying to work on a memory. Please never use the memory part while you are learning the physics. On the other subject side of chemistry and biology, you can recollect what you have read and accordingly you can mark the answer. Here the condition have changed. The first answer that I got, because it was 60 degree, you did it 180 minus of 2 into 60, that was giving me the answer as 60 degree. पर वहां पर एक ही mirror है. There is only one mirror in that case, for which the formula had been written. Here I am having the two mirrors, and still you are using the same formula. So in physics, what happens? They change the condition. So if you are using the knowledge known to you, you are likely to get the answer wrong. This is what is happening in physics. That is why the students are struggling. What they are memorizing it, they are trying to implement it. The problem condition has changed. Answers will be changing. One of the options there is the answer that you have memorized, or that you know the process by which you are getting the answer. You feel that that is the correct answer. You mark it. Your scores are down. Understanding my point? Getting it clearly? So what is happening here? This incident ray will be reflected at an angle of 60 degree at this point. This angle will be 60 degree. The original path would be like this. So this is representing the angle of deviation delta 1. And that delta 1 is taken as equal to, how much you will be taking? Pi, 180 degree ke liye, minus of twice I. So you will be having 180 minus of 2 into 60. So this is 60 degree. Now what would happen here is important part, because the ray will be reflected. Now in this case, you will be having a normal drawn here. Okay, so this angle is 30 degree. So now this angle is actually 90 degree. This is 45, so this will be 45. So 90, 45, 45. So this angle here will be how much? You see 180 minus 45 will be there now. So this will be कितना आएगा 135. ये 135 है, ये 30 है, तो ये आ गया आपका 165. 165 यानी ये आ गया आपका 15 degree. So with a 15 degree it will be reverted back along this direction. फिर यहां पर फिर से एंगल ऑफ इंसिडेंस लेना पड़ेगा. फिर यहां से रे रिफ्लेक्ट होके इट विल बी ट्रैवलिंग विद द सेम एंगल अलोंग दिस डायरेक्शन. तो यहां पर आपको यह समझना है कि ओरिजिनल पाथ यहां पर आया था, तो ये रे इस तरफ जाने वाला था, बट इट गॉट डेविएटेड. सो दिस इज योर सेकेंड एंगल ऑफ डेविएशन. फिर यहां से वो रे सीधा यहां जाने वाला था. दिस इज योर third angle of deviation. So total angle of deviation delta 1 plus delta 2 plus delta 3 will be the answer. Are you getting how complicated it is? आपको simple answer चाहिए तो that you will be having that delta is equal to 180 minus 2y. पर ये सारी चीजें आपको calculate करनी पड़ती है. And that is why it becomes complicated. You have to make the use of geometry to get the answer here. These answers are extremely important for all of us. The angle of deviation is the change in path of the original ray. So finally, what is the direction of the ray? And accordingly, the sum of all the angle of deviations are to be taken to calculate the total angle of deviation. Are you getting the approach? Getting or not? Now this is actually a complicated one because probably you will not be able to see unless and until you come closer and observe it. But let us try to get one more example so that you can find out in terms of generalization. Suppose you are having this as one mirror and you are having this as the second side of the mirror, second mirror here. This is mirror 1, this is mirror 2. The angle between them is taken as equal to theta. Now, let us consider here that this is a plane mirror with this as a normal. The ray of light is incident at an angle alpha here. So this is giving you angle of incidence alpha, right? Then with the same angle, it will be reflected onto this side. So with the same angle, I will be able to show the same angle like this. It will be reflected at an angle alpha. Now you will find that here the angle of incidence is becoming 0. For the second mirror, this angle of incidence कितना हो गया? Because it is falling perpendicular, so it will follow the same path and will be moving back. Am I right or wrong? So what will be the angle of deviation in this case? 90 minus? Loudly. 180 minus 2r. अरे 180 डायरेक्टली आंसर आएगा ना, क्योंकि इंसिडेंट रे तो आपका यहां से ऐसे जाएगा ना, और अभी वो रिफ्लेक्टेड रे इस तरफ जा रहा है, तो कितने से पाथ चेंज हो गया? ऐसे भी आप सॉल्व कर सकते हो. यानी I mean to say here that you need to change the diagrams properly and get the analysis. This is the final reflected ray. Final reflected ray. And this one, the horizontal one, is an incident ray. Now find out the angle of deviation. Total angle of deviation कितना रहेगा? The angle of incidences for the two mirrors are not the same, they are different. For mirror 1, angle of incidence is alpha, so angle of reflection will also be alpha. For mirror 2, angle of incidence is beta and the angle of reflection is again beta. Now in this case, this is the original path of the original ray. From here it is getting deviated to this part. So this delta 1 will be taken as pi minus of twice alpha. पहले मिरर के लिए ये फॉर्मूला लिख सकता हूं क्या मैं? लिख सकते हैं? Now the second ray was originally traveling along this direction, but finally it was traveling along this direction. So delta 2 here will be taken as pi minus of 2 beta. Can I write down for the second mirror pi minus 2 beta? Can I write down yes or no? Now, you need to understand, this is actually the original ray and final ray is here. So, this is going to give me delta total. And this value of delta total is to be calculated. Original incident ray was traveling along this path and final reflected ray is traveling here. So, this is delta total. बराबर है? Now you will find that this is anti-clockwise, but this is clockwise. So the total angle of deviation here, delta, will be equal to sum of these two which are anti-clockwise only. You can write down this as ACW for anti-clockwise. यहाँ से यहाँ पर anti-clockwise, यहाँ से यहाँ पर anti-clockwise. So delta will be equal to delta 1 plus delta 2. So you will be able to have this relation as, this will be pi minus of 2 alpha plus pi minus of 2 beta. So you will be having this as 2 pi minus of twice alpha plus beta. बराबर है? Now if you observe this triangle, I am labeling it, let me call it by x, y and z. So in a triangle XYZ, you are having here angle x equal to theta, angle y is taken as equal to, how much it will be? 90 minus alpha. Angle z will also be 90 minus of beta. So if you add all these three angles, you will be having 180 is equal to theta plus 90 minus of alpha plus 90 minus of beta. 90, 90, 180 is getting cancelled. So you will be having theta is equal to alpha plus beta. Now, if you are having theta is equal to alpha plus beta, this could be written as twice pi minus of twice theta. So, you will be having the angle of deviation, total angle of deviation given by 2 pi minus of twice theta. Now, we can check it out whether it is true or false. in any case it will be true. So even if you are having this part, you can check it out. What is the angle theta? That is not mentioned in this case. But alpha is also not mentioned. So we were able to directly mark as 180. So if data is turning out to be 180, this is 360. बराबर है ना? तो delta total 180 आया हुआ है is equal to 360 minus of 2 theta. So if you take it onto this side, minus of 180 is equal to minus of twice theta will be there. So theta is 90 degree. तो जब थीटा 90 रहेगा तभी ये पॉसिबल है, नहीं तो पॉसिबल नहीं है. मतलब ये होता है इसका कि सपोज you are having a plane mirror M1 and there is another plane mirror M2. The angle between the two plane mirror theta is taken as equal to 90 degree and you are having the ray of light incident. Suppose the ray of light is incident along this direction. Then this will be a normal drawn. This is your angle of incidence alpha. From here with the same angle of incidence, the ray will be traveling to this point. This is your angle of reflection alpha. At this point, you will be able to show here the normal drawn again vertically like this. Now this angle will be 90 minus alpha. Obviously, if this is 90 minus alpha, this is 90. This should be equal to how much? So you will be having 90 minus alpha plus 90 plus x equal to 180. So you are having 90 plus 90, 180 getting cancelled with this part. X will be taken as equal to alpha. So this angle will be alpha. So angle of incidence here will be 90 minus alpha. So with the same angle of incidence equal to angle of reflection, the ray will be traveling along this direction. This angle will be taken as 90 minus alpha. So यहाँ से ray आ रहा है, it is traveling in this direction here. Straight line. बराबर है? So you will be able to say that this is giving you the reflected ray traveling along this direction. So these are anti-parallel rays. So angle of deviation total here would be 180 degree. ये क्यों बता रहा हूं? आप बोलोगे सर यहां पर 90 आ रहा है पर ये 90 थोड़ी दिखाई दे रहा है हमको इसमें. यानी मैंने जो रेज निकाले वो बराबर नहीं निकाले. यहां पर एंगल मैंने बराबर नहीं लिया है. We are not measuring the angle. Am I measuring the angle with protractor? No, I am taking it as it is. So this figure is going to be incorrect. The ray will not be reflected here. The ray will be traveling somewhere in a different direction. ये angle of incidence लग रहा था पर वो exactly नहीं है 90 degree. You can come with a protractor and check it out. That ray is not falling normally. I have taken it normally. That is why the solution was appearing in that manner. Otherwise, you can see that if you are having the perpendicular mirror, the angle of deviation will be 180 degree always. If you are having this situation, the answer for angle of deviation will be always given by 2 pi minus of 2 theta. So have you learned out of it? Can I use a particular formula, memorize and work on that? Can I use? If I go for 3 mirrors, then again the answer will be changing. So it all depends upon which mirrors you are considering there. So उसके हिसाब से आपका आंसर यहाँ पर चेंज होते रहता है. Are you getting this part? Realizing it? So whatever is important, don't consider this case. You can consider this case. You can consider this as well as that. Because there the angle doesn't appear to be the correct one. Have you done this part? Have you done this? because some small part I have to cover. Now, while copying from the board, have you ever visited a mall where you can see the mirror behind as well as in front? How many images are formed? How many images are formed? We say infinite, right? So what is the angle between the two plane mirrors there? What is the angle between the two plane mirrors so that you are able to get the images infinity? Then why did you say 180? Okay, so about the mirror angle and the number of images, there is a formula that is to be memorized. So just enter that particular write-up. I'm not cleaning anything from the board so that you can copy it later on. Okay, so just mention there. If there are two plane mirrors, inclined to each other at an angle theta, the number of images of the point object formed are determined as follows. Number of images of a point object formed are determined as follows. Write down point number 1. If 360 upon theta is an even integer, if 360 upon theta is an even integer, in a bracket say n, small n, the number of images formed, small n, number of images denoted by n, small n, is equal to m minus 1 for all position of objects. So actually, this is the part which we have written, right? Let us take a practical example. If the angle between the two mirrors is 45 degree, what will be 360 divided by 45? Will it be divisible, yes or no? What will be the answer? 360 divided by 45? 8. So 8, is it even or odd? So for any position of object, number of images कितने बनेंगे? 8 minus 1, that is equal to 7. Have you got the example? If the angle between the two mirrors, is 60 degree, then you have to perform a division. 360 divided by 60, that will be giving you the answer as 6. 6, is it even or odd? So number of images will be 6 minus 1, that is equal to 5. Where will be the position of object? Object can be placed anywhere between the two mirrors. You will always have the number of images, in this case 5. Have you got it? If two mirrors are inclined to each other at an angle of 180 degree, so only one image will be formed. Getting this part clearly? If two mirrors are inclined at an angle of 36 degree to each other, how many number of images will be formed? Are you getting the part? Everyone is getting? Okay. Second point added there. Second point. If 360 divided by theta is odd integer, if 360 divided by theta is an odd integer, in a bracket say m, bracket closed, number of images formed write down option A, n equal to m, comma, if the object is not on the bisector of the mirror, part B, small n equal to m minus 1, small n equal to m minus 1. If object is on the bisector of the mirror. So have you understood the second case now? Number of images will be equal to the integer, odd integer, if you are having the object not on the bisector of the mirror. Okay? So let us try to understand it. You need an odd integer. So if the angle between the two mirrors is 120 degree, what will be 360 divided by 120? Is it odd or even? Now you are having the two mirrors inclined to each other at an angle of 120, and you are placing the object not on the bisector. Then number of images will be equal to 3. For example, if suppose I take this as a mirror and second mirror is like this. Now from the figure you can see that this angle is 120 degree. Right? So for this 120 degree angle, you will be having 360 divided by theta. 360 divided by 120, that is giving me 3. 3 is representing odd. Now suppose I draw the line like this. Then this angle will be 60 degree and this angle here will be also 60 degree. So this is your bisector line. This is your bisector line. If I am having the object present not on the bisector, this is the object. Is it present on the bisector line? In that case, you will be having number of images small n is equal to m. In this case, it is 3. So in this case, the number of images will be 3. Have you got the point? But if you are considering here that you are having the object at this position, object O dash is present here, then how many number of images will be present? Then in that case it will be n is equal to m minus of 1. So that is 3 minus of 1, that is equal to 2. Have you got the point clearly? You should be aware of bisector. If the object is on the bisector, then it will be m minus 1. If the object is not on the bisector, then it will be equal to the odd number there. Okay? Got the point clearly? Now consider that we are having here the angle between the two mirrors 40 degree. So your number is odd 9. So where should be the object present? Not on the bisector का है. Not on the bisector matlab, if you are having the two mirrors inclined at 40 degree, the line which is dividing the mirror with 20 degree each, if on that line, for example, I'll be able to show it here. So bisector line will be like this. This is 20 degree. This is 20 degree. This is 40 degree. So if you are having the objects anywhere like this, not on the bisector, then number of images will be equal to 9. Right? But if it is present on the bisector, then able to get this? Surely. Write down the part 3. Part 2 में दो cases है. Part 2 में दो cases है. Part 3 is again different. Part 3, if 360 by theta is a fraction, if 360 by theta is a fraction, the number of images formed will be equal to its integral part. Will be equal to its integral part. So if two mirrors are inclined to each other by an angle of 25 degree, what will be the number of images formed? So what you have to do, 360 divided by 25 is to be done. So what will be the answer? 15 point? It's very simple. 25 into 12 is 300. 25 into 14, that will be giving me 350. This is 360 divided by 25. So answer will be coming 14 point how much? 4. So 14.4 is a fraction there. So how many number of images will be made? 14. That is the third part. So likewise, you can think of 360 divided by 15 degree. Angle between the two mirror is 15 degree. How many number of images will be there? 360 divided by 15. 24. Is it even or odd? So for even, what is the rule? So answer will be, are you getting it? Surely. So this is the part, that was the last part of this thing related to the mirror or reflection at the plane surface. If you look at the NEET syllabus, reflection at plane surface is the topic that has been mentioned. So yesterday we have created the background for it. Today we have completed the reflection at the plane surface. Tomorrow we'll be completing reflection at the curved surface. This is little bit complicated as compared to today's part. As and when we proceed, you will find that complexity will be increasing. If you remain absent tomorrow, it will be really a troublesome for you because a lot of problems will also be coming up. So refraction at the curved surfaces, concave and the convex surfaces, we will be looking tomorrow, and then we will be having some problem solving done, and after that we'll be going for the lenses. Lenses will become extremely easier if you follow the concave and convex lenses thoroughly. So basic of lenses will lie on concave and convex mirror. Okay? So anyone who can sum up how many points we have covered, how many formulas we have dealt? You have to work on that part, prepare a sheet. How many new words you have come across? I think now you are clear with how the ray diagrams are to be drawn. How many rays I can draw? Initially, while you are starting with, you should draw as many number of rays as you can, but later on what you should do? You can draw with 2 only, that is sufficient, but initially you should try to draw with more number of rays from the object there. Make a list of formulae again. So yesterday somebody said that they have 22 formulas for the yesterday's part, and today's number should be added to that to find out how many total number of formulas are there. Anyone who can tell me approximately how many formulas we have covered? 28. So look at it, by this time we have covered 28, a long way to go. So you will be realizing it very clearly that number of formulas are likely to touch 100. With a ray diagram, with a logic, can I use any formula anywhere? Can I use any formula anywhere? If condition is same, then only I can use that formula. If the conditions have changed, I cannot make the use of the formula. Got it clearly? Because for the problems on the board, I have clearly told you that in that case, you are able to get the answer directly, delta is equal to 180 minus 2i. But that is not true. The total will be different. Okay? Realizing this part? So tomorrow I am likely to start with refraction at the curved surface, reflection at the curved surfaces, that is concave mirror as well as convex mirror. This is extremely important because your work will be more, my work will be less. I'll be only teaching you how are the basic, and then you have to build the whole theory and conclude accordingly. So what are the point of conclusions that we'll be discussing it? If tomorrow's part is dealt by you properly, you will find that the convex lens and concave lens will be easier for you to handle. Okay? So we'll stop here for today and proceed for tomorrow's session so that we are able to cover the mirrors tomorrow. Then we'll look at the other things that are coming up in a refraction. Okay? See you. Sai Ram.